All right, we are recording. Welcome in 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. It is another wonderful sit down edition. And today's guest is just, it's one of my favorite people just in general, car business, forget all that, just as humans go, just a great human being to talk with. Cannot wait to sit down and enjoy face-to-face sitting down communication with my guy, Ryan Osten Lyteflo. Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm great, brother. How you doing, Sean?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. As mentioned, Ryan and his company will be at Being Social September 16th, Madison, Wisconsin. We're excited. This show is almost sold out, and it's because we're having folks like this there. So, Ryan, here's the thing. We have the new segment. We call it What's on Your Mind. So we ask you, what's on your mind, Ryan?
Oh, man. Well, since we launched the company 5 months ago, we're just trying to help dealers move EVs faster. The EV market there's never a dull day. It's in the news every day. And there's a lot of disruption in the market right now. So every day I wake up just trying to help dealers sell more EVs faster. And that's really what's on my mind.
So when we talk about selling EVs faster, obviously the urgency here in the United States has dramatically changed with recent changes of our government. And so I wonder to you, what does this change really mean? Okay, and I'm asking this because it is a tax credit, right? What is going away is a tax credit. So they're also doing the same thing on solar. And so my wife's been busting me for many years about looking at solar, and I've always put it off. And now I cannot any longer because it's this 30%, right? This bonus kickback from the government. I talked to my accountant. She says it's legit, because I always feel a little weird trusting my government to give me back a 30% of anything, considering I give it to them. But explain to us what's going away, if you can, as basic as possible, so folks understand.
Sure. So as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, there were three key EV tax credits that were put into place. One was a $7,500 tax credit for new EVs on purchase, could be at the point of sale. The second is with used EVs, a $4,000 credit, and that is on vehicles that both of those, the vehicles have to meet certain standards for local domestic production and battery content and stuff. So not all vehicles qualified for this thing. For example, I believe Kia's do and Lexus does not, or Toyota does not.
Okay.
So don't hold me on that, but I think, but the point is that some do and some don't, as well as on the used credit has to be under 25K, the purchase price, the sale price for that to get that $4,000 credit. And that was a really helpful tool to improve affordability. A lot of dealers were using that 4K as a down payment for a customer. So, hey, car's $24.99 and you get 4K back that you can put toward a down payment. So there's the new credit, the used credit, and then there is a charger incentive for installing a charger, I think $1,000. So those are going away September 30th by act of Congress. And that's really going to kick off what I'm calling the summer of EV. There's going to be a mad rush to get in under the deadline before the credits go away. If anyone was thinking about being in the market, if anyone was in the market for an EV or thinking about buying an EV, they're going to go faster now to get that credit. Again, there's certain conditions in which it applies or doesn't apply, but that's the short of it, of what's happening with the tax credits.
Okay. Wow. A lot there. Summer of EVs. We're in the middle of it. I
Yep.
think that what I'm interested to understand, right, is that obviously previous administration kind of forced the hand of manufacturers to get more into EVs, right? And as we both know, switching over, transforming your plants is not like something you do tomorrow to go back one way or the other. So massive commitment has been made. Things are going in a certain direction. It sounds like General Motors plans to stay ahead with their EV production and planning. Others seem to start to kind of scale back or maybe look to change. Do you see manufacturers making changes based on these incentives going away? Do you think you'll see less inventory? Is that the assumptive, Ryan?
Yeah, well, the manufacturers are really in a tough spot right now. They've got the US market, which is not coming along as fast as the rest of the world. And so they need to, in order to stay competitive and manage their cash flow, they need to be able to serve multiple segments of the market. They still need to make ICE engine vehicles. But they still need to remain competitive in EVs if they want to compete in the future. Now, the big, huge existential threat that threatens the North American vehicle, the North American OEMs, the European OEMs, is EVs, and specifically Chinese EV makers, and even more specifically BYD. Call them the legacy automotive, the OEMs. They know that if they are not competitive in electric vehicles in the future, that their business, their very existence is at risk. And I think we take for granted the fact that companies that are around today will be around tomorrow. But you can go through the S&P 500 and look at the graveyard of companies that no longer exist, that used to be some of the biggest companies in the world. I don't know what happened to Westinghouse, like what happened to, and I'm sure there's a lot, look at BlackBerry and these companies. So it's not taken for granted that these companies will exist in the future, and EVs are the propulsion of the future in the whole world. Even if adoption curves vary between different countries, right? I mean, you can say goodbye to Europe basically if you're not strong in EVs. And BYD's already in Europe and they're in Mexico. These vehicles are lining up on the shores of the United States. And frankly, I expect to see them in Canada, and I expect to see them in the US within the next 5 years, as kind of a bold prediction. But there's a lot of play here. I don't know if I answered your question, but what's happening to supply is that they're just having to balance, these short-term interests with longer-term interests.
Yeah, and again, it's hard, when regulations are so sort of changing like that, right? And people are willing to sort of take this and say, yeah, 6 months ago it was this, now it's this. Yep. Sorry, we spent 8 years telling you one thing, 4 years telling you another. Like, that's what bothers me about some of the oversight things that exist in government in general, but that's not what we're here for. I've been doing my research on BYD. I've heard a lot about them. I know the United States is spending considerable energy to make sure that they do not come into the United States. And so I think it's interesting that we're in a position now to have things be more competitive, but I think because of another piece of this pie in the tariff part of things, will tariffs affect what it costs to make an EV in the United States and be competitive? And then do manufacturers have to give a shit about making EVs here anymore if there is no tax credit to them, is my next question, Ryan.
Yeah. So look, I think tariffs affect affordability for all vehicles, ICE vehicles and EVs. And it's really a factor more of like where the vehicle's made, obviously currently. But so I think that's more of a net neutral when it comes to tariffs and EVs. And your other question was, remind me there.
Do you think anyone will care about making them here? If those credits were tied to making them here, will there be less a change of a push to do that and just more manufacturing offshore, in your opinion, for something like that?
Well, I think they're going to care about making them here because they need to make them affordable. And they do not want to abandon EVs, and they won't abandon EVs because they do know that it is the tech of the future. There's a lot of reasons. I think there's two primary obstacles from EVs exploding in a good way. The adoption curve. And by the way, we're in a very normal part of a tech adoption curve, right? You have your early adopters, and then you have your early majority, and you need to sort of cross the chasm, as they say, to get to that early majority. This is a very normal adoption curve. The two primary obstacles are affordability and getting them cheaper, which means making them in the US to, avoid circumvent tariffs and so forth. And two, charger infrastructure. If you have public charging proliferated throughout the United States, a lot of people are going to be looking harder at EVs. And that is happening. There's a ton of investment going into charger infrastructure. despite some of the headwinds on charger infrastructure with the current administration, Walmart announced that they're rolling out, I haven't looked at this story in a while, but I think it was 30,000 chargers across their locations, building the biggest charger network in the United States, even bigger than Tesla. And what's going to happen after Walmart does? Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting because Tesla just put in a whole big, huge bunch of port at one of our local grocery stores. It's one of the bigger grocers in Wisconsin, and there's like 10 spots, like a mega area, and it's that was them. So that's on their dime. Then do you think they pay rent to the businesses? What do you think the model is there?
How that works, I'm not exactly sure, but you have the charge. You have the manufacturers of the station, so your Charge Point or Flow, whatever it is, and then they're probably either leasing that space to them or they're buying and operating. I'm not an expert on how the charging business necessarily works there, but the point is there's going to be a lot more chargers there are tomorrow, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Private enterprise is funding that. And once that happens, EVs are only going to grow. And so from our perspective in our business, helping dealers sell more EVs with sales and merchandising tools, this is what we say to dealers. Look, these things are not going away. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 customers coming in out of 10 customers curious about an EV, considering an EV. You need the tools to be able to effectively sell them. And if you make yourself a destination for EVs, you're going to pick up a whole bunch of customers that you would have totally ignored before. So it's not that you need to say like, oh, we're going all in on EVs and we're just ditching ICE, or it's mutually exclusive. It's additive, saying we're also going to be a destination for EVs in addition to being strong on our, gas and plug-in hybrid. By the way, I think gas will be like everything will just be hybrid, and that, they're not even going to be just only gas. I think that the whole gas segment will move to hybrid and plug-in hybrid. The RAV4s there's no more gas RAV4s only. They're hybrid only, right? And so anyway, I think positioning yourself as a destination for EVs can be a really effective way to pick up customers.
Look at that. We did it. Try to be under 15 minutes. We did it under 13 minutes because I want to leave it there, because that's the point I want people to leave you with, is that you have to still be the authority on the topic moving forward. And the best way to do it is to merchandise. And Ryan's tool, while there are others in the market, there's nothing like theirs, and there's nothing that has as much data and information. And the way it integrates on our end with marketing and analytics has been extremely, extremely helpful in leading us to understand which of our channels is best leading to traffic that converts or wants something to happen. And folks, we're finding it on organic, we're finding it on paid. It's not like it's one or the other. It's being part of the consideration trail. And when you factor in social media and that information, and we share some of that information out on social media to educate people based on Ryan's tool, we call it the EV Authority Project, and one of our clients is absolutely crushing it. So Ryan, we thank you for your time, man. More than that, your insight. I love talking to you. You're a smart dude who really has passion for what he's doing, and it shows.
I appreciate that, Sean. I'm aware we didn't really get into what Lyteflo is, and we don't have to. This isn't an advertisement, but if you're curious about how we help dealers sell more EVs, drop me a DM.
And that's what we're going to be talking about. We are Lyteflo for life over here. We love what goes on there. If you want to learn more, Ryan is your guy. If Ryan's not available, our guy Noah is available. There's always someone to talk to at Lyteflo. Ryan, we look forward to having you in Madison, man. It's going to be great. And it'll be right before the expiration of the credits, people. So if you want to listen and understand what you're going to do post-credits, how you're going to sell EVs faster post-credits, be there to hear Ryan, because he's going to be telling you the tips and tricks to make it happen. Ryan, thank you so much for your time, dude. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
You're the best. All right, everybody. That's another wrap on 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Yep, we did it in under 15 minutes. We're trying to make it quick and easy for everybody to consume. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again next week.